And welcome, my dear sister. How are you? I think you're still on mute, so I'm just going to ask you to unmute yourself. Yes,
Good.
yes. And I don't know if you're near an AC or something, but it's like a little hum, like we're near an airplane or something. We can
Oh
still hear you.
man,
Don't
is
worry about that.
is
Don't
it
worry about
is it
that.
in the way?
No, no, I can hear it. It's just that, just speak up clear and loud, not loud, but just a little clarity that appears through that because you're outside right now. So I know
I
there's
can
some
I
conditions.
can change my location in 30
It's,
seconds.
okay,
So
it's
if
fine.
that's better,
It will be better. I want everybody to hear you and every inflection in your voice.
okay. So I'm gonna just stop the cam and I'm gonna move. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right, I'll be right here. Yes, yes. Just bear with us for a second, everyone. And she changes her location. It's a very sensitive subject, so I want everybody to really hear her voice and every word. And you see the title of the topic, so you know we're going to go in today. And she's equipped to go in. So when she gets in position, opens up the camera, I'll open up her line.
Thank you. It's too
But
loud.
let me just see who's coming into the chat room. Sunkiss Felicia, how are you? We have 8 people so far. Sunkiss is the one who had the gumption to leave a comment and to speak. Gotta tell you, Sunkiss, you're really dedicated. I really am glad to have you in my life and the energy you have and the positive energy you have. So don't let anything in this life ever discourage you. You got this far, trust me, you'll get exactly to where you want to be. And we know where that is. For everybody coming in, just welcome. Just give us a moment or two. Okay, here we go. Much, much better. Much, much better. As you can see yourself on the screen, keep yourself centered. And that's, yeah, you climbed a few steps there, right?
Yes, I did.
Even though I did like the background. I love outside backgrounds where you see cars going by and people walking by. It makes you feel like you're really there, but that's good. This is about you. And I have to applaud you. You have attained a certain level that you have separated yourself from others by writing a book. That puts you on a whole different level. It's like our dear brother Dr. Kang says, it puts you on a whole different level. So, I want you to introduce yourself, Sister Tsunga, and kind of segue into the topic. We don't have to just jump right in it like that. But before you even say anything, because I'm gonna get you to start talking. I see you might be a little shy right now. You're not shy in person, but everybody's gonna start looking at you, hearing everything. And I just want to say congratulations on the projected date in July. Okay,
Thank
and I don't know
you.
if I'm supposed to say that or anything, or if it's something that you want to keep quiet, but I'm going to shout it from the mountaintops. Congratulations on your projected date in wedding and marriage, which you guys are already married. Okay, it's just a matter of going through the formality of that and showing the world, and just continue everything good. And I feel like I'm a part of that through the
Yes, you
show and
are.
everything. You know what I mean? It's just
Remember, you have been a part of the journey since its inception, from day one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't mean funny like in a funny way, but it's good because, just the connection through the show. And, I feel good about that. And I really want to be there, but the situation here in Ghana. And
Yeah.
we'll see about that. But I'm there with you every step of the way otherwise. But that being said, I've talked to many people who have gone through, I'll say, a similar situation, because some are severe, and we don't know how a person takes it all the way. Sometimes we can go through stuff and it seems like, oh, they just brush it off. And sometimes it takes many years to heal from this trauma and it still never goes away. But what inspired you to really, really look within your experiences and write this book?
So number one, the experience. The experience. Two, I was a school counselor for 4 years. Worked in Jamaica. By the way, from Jamaica, but I live
Yeah,
in the
and
United
tell us
States.
about yourself in there also. Just sprinkle that
Oh
in there. Maybe
yes,
a little too soon.
yes.
Introduce yourself.
Oh yes. So, yes. So I'm from Jamaica. I've lived here 9 years now. But while I was in Jamaica, I worked with the government as a counselor, and I worked with, I would say, more underprivileged. They would call them inner city youth. Um, and I had a situation where one child, one specific child, he came to school one morning and he had experienced rape. Now, my mandate was to go in the system and put at least one person away, right? So when I entered counseling, I entered with the goal of helping, right? I wanted to help someone because of my trauma. And it's like I manifested it. It may not sound like it's good, but I was
Mm-hmm.
able to manifest that experience. I was able to find that one child, and I was dragged through the system until I was able to put that one man away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that I was not the only one, right? And in that experience, it also enabled me to understand exactly what the child was going through. Now, I did not reveal that I had that experience to the
Right.
child, but I was able to, they say, they would call that self-disclose. I was able to disclose that fact to the mother of the child. And that made her feel a whole lot better to know that
Mhm.
she had someone on her child's case who understood. I helped him with therapy. And, you know, then I thought that was what really inspired me to write the book, that one experience, right? Because I realized that this was happening, through research as well. I realized that this was happening, it was very prevalent. Okay. Now, when I came here 8, 9 years ago, I started writing the book. I wrote a half of the first chapter, and I don't know what happened. I just, I got busy with life until I met Dr. Kang, right? I met Dr. Kang, and, Dr. Kang said that he was challenging us to write a book at one of the retreats. And I thought, why not continue writing the book that I started 9 years ago?
Yes.
So, my experiences influenced the book itself, but then Dr. Kang really pushed me. He really
Yeah.
inspired me to,
Yes.
to pick up the pen and the paper.
Yes. He's on me that way too. He told me all these stories you have, you got to write a book. So I got a pass because I moved to Africa and all the transition and all the stuff. So right now, as soon as the year starts, the clock is going to tick again for me to join you. And so now you inspired me, right? But
Uh-huh.
when you help the youngster with the situation that they were in, you identify with that, of course, because you've been through the same thing also.
Right.
Was it, aside from your professional demeanor, was it an emotional experience for you also? I mean, secretly?
Well, it wasn't emotional. I think I was able to put myself in his shoes, so I felt for him.
Okay.
But at that point in time, I'd overcome everything. I was not, I would say, tickled by listening to those kinds of stories, right? Um, Outside of that scenario, outside of that situation, I was a part of the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Movement.
Hmm.
That was like the youth arm of the Jamaica Family Planning Association, and I was affiliated with that organization. So through the youth advocacy movement, I was able, when we got together, I was able to share my experiences with the group. It was more of like a therapeutic group. It was to help all the youth all the youth who were involved, who were part of the group. So it was a lot of fun, but that was a part of my healing process. So by the time it got to that point where I had that one child who had that experience, it was very easy for me to just listen and just to feel with him, to let him, to
Right.
let the mother know that I really understand what her child is going through. But it was not, I felt more for the child. So
Understood.
I didn't start having flashbacks or anything like that.
So that truly tells me that for the most part, you are healed from it.
Yes,
And
I'm healed from it.
would you say that many who have gone through it, whether they've had therapy or not, are still bothered by the memory
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah,
So
I can
you're
tell
a
you.
rare exception. You're a rare exception. Go ahead.
I can tell you from that. You remember when I was on your show? It was 2000 and it was last year.
Yeah, early last year.
Yeah.
Going on 2 years.
It was August.
So, yeah.
The first week in August. Yeah,
Right,
unforgettable
right.
times.
Okay, right.
Mm-hmm. So after that show, remember I gave out my email address. I gave out some information. I had
Yes.
people reaching out to me. There are people who reached out to me and they commended me for talking about it. They were like, "This is the first time that I'm talking about this." Whenever time, because sometimes I'd make posts on social media and people would be in my inbox just talking about it, like, "I had that experience and you're brave and I've never spoken about it," or "I'm still hurt," or "This makes me hate men." And so I would say that there are lots of scarred people walking around, and these experiences do affect or can affect relationships, right? And it's for both men and women. As written in the book, it says 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys are victims at some point in their lives. If it's a one-time experience or if it's over and over, they've had that experience.
And those, from what I see, those are the ones who are willing to share and say that they were, because there's so much shame that shouldn't be. That may not be the correct number, because
I was going to say reported.
Reported, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Reported. I believe it's more prevalent than.
What I want to do is, I didn't have a chance to get your email address. I want to get your email address now, if it's possible, one that you can have scroll on the bottom, and I'll put it down there, because I didn't have a chance to put it on the banner or anything. So I want to have it scroll across the bottom so they can reach out to you directly, because we never know who's going to watch this now or in the future. So to even just, not just the purchase of the book, but just also to reach out to you, because you want to see people come to their healing, because I know you're going to say some things and share some things in a special way that are going to make individuals gravitate towards you, because they're going to see the warmth of your heart. So if you can give me your email address.
It's MED, MED 1981 2009 at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to scroll this down on the bottom in a second, but let's just continue until the time comes. Wow. So the numbers we know are frayed. They're not really going to be authentic that way. I say, and I'm not a professional, but just from young ladies that I've known, it seems like 1 out of 3. And I don't know about the men, me being a male, heterosexual male, dating women, and they open up to me. It's and I know it's more than that.
And it's more for men too. It's not 1 in 20.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And really with men, as they get older, we have our pride, we have our ego, and we're like, I'm not going to tell anybody this happened to me, but then we suffer behind closed doors. So also I want you to share what you may know about the actual sex of the people doing it, because lots of times we think it's just men doing it to boys and girls. There's a lot of women out here doing it too.
So, yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that point, because majority of the men who have come forward, they say that it's women. It's women. Majority of them were sexually abused by women, but at that point in time, it didn't feel uncomfortable to them because
Right. Right.
you know how the society the society how it views men and boys, and if you're seen with a, or if you've had that experience with an older woman, it makes you,
More of a man. Yeah.
right. But then I can tell you, some men, after growing up to becoming men, they realized that they were exploited, right? And then they start experiencing some kind of hurt or deception.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it throws you off emotionally.
Yeah.
So the society, it's almost like taking the cake out before it's finished baking. And it will leave you with a lot of emotional problems, because it happened to me with an older cousin, a female, much older. And I was 5 years old. She was in her 30s. So, and most of my life, I didn't even realize that until maybe like about 20 years ago, started to come to me, really clear. So going through the book, they're going to have to get the book to get the whole story.
Yes.
What parts of it in your story that you'd like to share, and go as detailed as you want, because we spoke about this before, and I want to let everybody know that, we're going to go places now that might be very graphic to those who are watching. And I did not say, let's go do this and talk this way just to exploit. You said that the book can be quite detailed. And so we're going to roll on that spirit. Where would you like to start? And this is your story, so I want you to tell it as much as you can.
So by the way, this is a very short book. It's very, very short, right? And it was written intentionally. This see, it's a very small book. It has only 112 pages. I know that lots of our people don't like to read, right? And I've made the font. Can you see it?
Yes.
The font is big.
Yeah.
Makes it reader friendly.
Right.
Right? And the whole purpose of the book is to make adults aware that this is real, right? And I've gone into details about some of my experiences. I think 3 or 4 of my experiences. I went into details because it's graphic, and it's mainly because I want them to understand exactly what a child feels and sees and experiences, what the child experiences while, during the act. So during the act, and then that will stimulate the emotions to make them wonder what happens after the fact.
Right.
So I wanted it to be real. So in one of the chapters in the book, I recounted one of my first incident of being raped. My very first experience that I had. I was 14. I was 13 or 14. Or 13 going on 14, right about there. And I was led to the back of a house, and in the bushes. When I went there, it seemed like it was dark. It seemed like there was something spread on the ground. I couldn't tell what it was. And, I spoke about how I felt during that time. I spoke about how I felt when I was penetrated. I spoke about what happened after, I had to go back home, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So one of the chapters, that's the most graphic chapter, and it recounts that. Now, I want people to understand that not only rape is a form of sexual abuse. So I've recalled different scenarios or different situations. For example, there was one of my abusers. He exposed me to himself. He brought this woman in the house at one point, and she was the one who, she was touching on my breast. She was like caressing me, right? So that was one experience. And I spoke about another experience where it was attempted rape. I was able to escape. And these are three different people.
Wow.
Three different people. So everything is in the book.
Yes.
I could have recounted more. Maybe there'll be a part 2 with more experiences, but I just wanted this to be bold, and to the point. Right. I wanted people to, when they read it, they're able to feel with me. I want to take them through the experiences. And I definitely want parents to understand that, listen, even if someone shows your child pornography, it is still a form of sexual abuse.
Yes, it is.
And it can still impact the child to the point where the child has nightmares and the child can't focus and, the child behavior changes.
Right.
So I want people to understand that, there are different levels, there are different kinds, different situations. So
that's something. And the funny thing about it is this happens to youngsters across the globe, all ages, the sexes, the financial status of the family, it's no one category of us on the planet. But I find it funny, and I'll take the blame for saying this, that in a place like Jamaica, with so many churches and so many people acting so morally upright, that this would be something that is epidemic. And we're not singling out.
I want to share something with you when you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have this friend. She's an older lady. She lives in Norway. And when I introduced her to the book, you know what she said? After an experience she had in Jamaica, she went back to Norway and she conducted a study. And Jamaica has one of the highest number of sexual abuse in the entire world. Jamaica. Think in the top 5.
It doesn't surprise me hearing that. It doesn't surprise me. There's definitely a spiritual element that has to accompany that type of statistic for such an island that is so small.
Right.
And from what I can remember, it's about 26 miles high and maybe 172 miles roughly. Don't quote me on that, right? That can fit inside of Florida, Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's small. It has an impact on many other positive ways, the entertainment and the brilliance and scholastic achievement. But I find that knowing many from that island and some of my family, that's what the situation is. What do you think? You think there's a spiritual element to this? It can't be where just you're somewhere physically, this just happens like this so much.
I don't know. I think it might have come from slavery times.
Yeah, but let me interject. I mean, you have Trinidad, you have Barbados, you have smaller islands there, you have the whole region, parts of South America, Guyana. Like, what is it about Jamaica? That's what I'm not blaming, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just thinking out loud, because personally, those who I've known from there, especially the young ladies, it's always been something along those lines, or stories that they have of someone else. It's like, wait a second. And you have so many churches there, which really doesn't mean anything. Religion means nothing about spirituality. And this almost double life. And not only that, but the reluctance of many of the elders to want to talk about it. Like, when you tell me about that.
So as it relates to the reluctance of the adults not wanting to talk about it. A lot of times, so in my situation, my elders didn't know anything about it, right? But I can tell you that that one person who was in our lives, he made our lives better.
Good.
He made things a whole lot easier financially. And I can tell you that I'm not saying that women don't do this as well, but lots of men, lots of women rather, when they have these men in their households and the men they're helping out with the food, they're helping them to pay their bills,
Right.
a lot of them, especially in the inner city, I can tell you that they do sacrifice that. They do sacrifice their children. I call it sacrifice. They do that.
What it is.
So that's one of the reasons why parents don't talk. Another reason is that they're in denial because they're head over heels over this person. So they
Yes.
keep it on the hush. And they tell the child that you're telling a lie, or they're just in denial. They don't want to talk about it. But one of the main reasons why parents, when they find out, or caregivers, when they find out that this is happening with a child, is that they don't want to lose the benefits.
Yeah. But
Because
that's
times can be hard.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a heck of a trade-off. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And for what I've found, that distance and that space between the parent, the caretaker, and that one who's suffering that way, it leaves a mark on them for the rest of their life. It kind of leaves a mark on them where it leaves them unable to really open up. It damages them, of course. And what would you say to someone who has walked with this? Sometimes it's like I would assume that they don't want to open up an old wound. They'll rather walk with a symbolic limp than have to break the leg again to heal and set that leg back the proper way. Within the person who's the victim, who's older now, what do you tell them as far as revisiting that trauma to actually go back and heal it up?
Okay,
They don't really
so
want to. They don't really want to.
it's one of two things, right? It's either they're going to take it with them to old age, or they're going to decide that, okay, for this 1, 2, 3, or 4 years or 5 years, I'm going to just dig this ant nest up, and I'm going to, experience all the bites and the discomfort, right? And then after that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, however long it takes, live a fulfilling life, right? I do understand that it can be crippling, but I'm going to speak for myself. I realized, when I got out there in the world, I realized how many opportunities were out there for me. There were lots of opportunities there for me, and I didn't want those opportunities to pass me by. I realized that this could have hindered with the relationship I had with my female friends, right? Because they didn't have this experience, right? And they were always happy. They were always happy. I didn't want it to affect the relationship with my female friends. And, I was more of a more mature person. See, at age 19, 20, I was responsible for myself, you
Right.
know. So I started looking at my life ahead of me, right? And I decided that I was going to relish into the resources that I have around me. I was blessed to have had some resources around me as well, and I took advantage of that. But what I would say to a person right now is that find help. There are lots of when I say find help, it's
Right.
always not wise to tell like the first person you share this with be a person in your family. because a lot of emotions can evolve from you sharing this. It's just a lot, endless number of emotions. Find you a stranger, community centers, there are online people, counseling centers. I don't have the resources to share right now. I didn't come prepared with the resources.
Okay, we
But
can put
there's
that in
so
later
many.
on. Yeah, you can put that in later on. Have you come back?
There are lots of community programs that can assist. You just have to do your research, do your homework. If you really want to, get past this, do your homework. You have subsidized programs. If you have the finances, you can pay for it. You have free programs. Just find you a program and get help. The first step is starting to talk about it. You're going to cry. You're going to feel worthless. You might feel worthless. You might feel like the world is caving in on you, right? But you're going to have to go through those experiences in order to get out of it. And it's like you're going through the fire.
Yes.
Right. So I would advise anyone who has had this experience to reach out to someone. Otherwise, you're going to live with it forever.
Yeah. And it's going to take away from your ultimate happiness.
Exactly.
On top of the fact that life has its ups and downs anyway. So one doesn't need to have that on them when they can truly get rid of it. Right. But I can understand that sometimes we don't want to face those things, but it's better for the ultimate,
Yeah.
Wow. So
I know it can be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a best friend, you can share it with your best friend, and you can ask a best friend for help. Say, hey, I really want you to help me through this process. Help me to find the resources.
Because they're there.
If it's your best friend or close friend,
right,
they will get you the help you need.
True. Yeah, the resources are there. I mean, it doesn't take long. We have the internet now, and we can find things closer to us, resources that we didn't know that were there. So maybe around the corner, about a mile away or whatever. But I guess the most powerful step is the first step.
The first step, yeah. It is. Yeah.
There will be apprehension. There will be times when you say, okay, I'm going to do this, and you back away from it. But that's the bottom line, and we have a few in the chat room. We have more watching. So feel free in the chat room, which I'll bring up any questions that you put out. Anything you want to inquire about her experiences, about the book, about, her opinion on how to handle, just let us know in the chat room for the time that we're here. I'm quite sure our sister will be glad to answer, So, but you are rare though. You completely healed. But you can understand why there's some who would take a longer time to heal up from that traumatic experience.
I know. I mean, they haven't even spoken about it. And I do feel for them. I do. I still have that, that heart. I feel for them. It's even, I don't know, I feel a lot for adults too, because lots of these adults, they have children.
Right.
They have children, and sometimes they do repeat that cycle. They have children, and because they're not healed, they suffer. They tend to suffer from low self-esteem, and then they bring that man in their life, and it's hard for them to communicate with their children. It's a whole lot. I have a whole lot that I want to say.
Let it flow. Let it flow. We have someone in the chat room that I believe wants to come and join the discussion. I'm not sure if they wanted a future discussion or I just dropped a link there. Khadijah, if you want to come in and
yes,
just come on in and we'll continue the discussion. And that goes for anybody who has something to add or something to ask, on this, because I know that this is something that is prevalent more than what statistics. I'm having a Mike Tyson moment. More than what statistics can say. You see?
Yeah. It could be 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 8 out of 10, but it's a big number.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So, Sister Khadijah, if you wanted to come in now, or I didn't know if it would maybe another time, but it's a discussion that we need to have now. The chat room is moving slow. I think your words are very effective, and they're just focusing on what you have to say, you know. But we're waiting for you, Khadijah. Just let us know if you want to come on in or not. We'll just continue on until you come in if you choose to do so. Wow. After your healing, and I know you have a very caring, strong, exceptional man in your life now, but was it hard to open up? Did you open up to others once you felt that you were in a safe place of healing? Or was it something that you just kind of still kept, not because you weren't healed, but you just chose not to really share it?
No, I'm not. I'm very open to sharing my experiences. Like, I'm very comfortable sharing the experiences. Like I said, I was a part of this youth organization, and at the time, you know, we were focused on adolescent sexual and reproductive health. So I became comfortable with my sexuality on a whole. You know, your sexuality it includes everything that makes you who you are. You know, including sex and you know, stuff like what turns you on and that kind of stuff. So just having repeatedly talk about these experiences over time, I got more and more comfortable, especially in that group that I was a part of.
And it's very comfortable for you to be in touch with yourself, because these situations can make a person shut down completely.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know. I remember after the first show, there was this one young lady I became very close with. And, you know, she had her family and she had shut down. Like she had a turbulent relationship with her partner then because of her experience. She never spoke about it. She never spoke about it, and it was really affecting her life. She never shared it with her partner.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
I can understand. Yeah, we understand.
I do understand why, because it can be a very uncomfortable situation to be in. You know, it's like, I'm thinking that maybe if she told her partner that she had this experience, she would have been scorned, or he probably wouldn't want her. He wouldn't want to be with her. You know, and she was looking for that safe haven. Sounded like her husband made her feel safe, and she didn't want to lose that. So
yeah, but you know, if a man is going to hear this from their mate and they react in that manner, that can't be the right man for her.
No, I don't. But
right. I mean, what I'm saying is that if I'm with you and you come to me with something so hurtful, something that happened to you, the violation, and you're the victim, and I scorn you, then I'm with you for the wrong reasons. Because
I know, but in her head as the victim,
I got you.
In her head, even though that's not even though she's gonna feel like she's scorned, even though she knows that this man is not gonna scorn her, but she's going to feel so bad about it. She's gonna feel terrible about it. You know, she's probably gonna think that this man is gonna look at her like this as long as they're together.
Right.
And she doesn't want that.
That's true.
So,
well,
yeah, but like we said earlier, the first step is to identify someone who you don't know,
right,
and go release or unleash on them.
We have Sister Khadijah here who joined us, and now I have to shift around the banners a bit because so we can see everybody's face. I just removed this banner for now, and I'll put you, Sister Khadijah, in the main for now. I'm glad that you're here. It's nice to see your face.
Thank you.
Yes, we're all here. Sister
This
Tsunga's
is my
here.
first time ever on any type of platform, so I'm a little nervous.
It's okay. We're gonna take our time.
Okay.
Yes.
But I heard the topic and it really touched me.
If you could turn your phone, if you could turn your phone.
I'm not sure. What am I doing?
Yeah, it's up and down.
What am I doing wrong?
No, you're not doing anything wrong. You have your phone this way.
What should I do?
Just turn it this way. Just turn it the horizontal way. Yeah, the other way. Yeah, like this. Instead of like this. There you go. Now you fill up the screen better. Just
Okay.
turn it back. Hold it back this way again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just turn the phone the horizontal way so you feel.
I'm using the tablet because the phone is giving me some problems.
Okay, no, you're good that way. You're good that way.
Is it okay like this?
It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
I do want to admit that I had a lot of watermelon earlier, and I'm going to leave the premises for 90 seconds, and I'll be right back. But continue on.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Khadijah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you know, I usually listen to LANCESCURV. I listen to his program all the time. And today I happened to be off, had time, and I caught the live. And I know there's a reason why I caught this live and decided to even do this, to come on and, you know, and speak, is because what you're speaking on really touched me, because it's something that I've experienced. And I don't think that I would ever do this, like to let my face be shown or anything on YouTube, you know, but I experienced this when I was younger. I'm from Trinidad. And when I was 7, I was molested. And I left Trinidad when I was like 11. And I didn't say anything to my mother about it until I was 32 years old, because I realized that I was having a problem sexually with my relationships.
Okay. So what was your mom's? I'm curious. What was your mom's
let me tell you what,
response?
yes. So one day I decided that I couldn't hold this any longer. And I wanted to let her know what happened, right? And it happened with my grandmother's husband, who's not my mother's father. So one day I decided I'm going to call her. I was at work. And I called her and I told her, I said, Mommy, I want to talk to you about something that happened, you know. And she said, sure. And I got to her house. I actually left work to do this. And I got to the house and I sat her down, you know, and I told her what happened. And she didn't take it well. You know, she said to me, she said, what do you want me to do right now? The man already dead and gone, you know? And I was crushed.
I know, yeah.
I was crushed at her response. But based on her response, it triggered off a lot of anger inside of me that I had to find a way to come to terms with it, because I kept trying to revisit the situation with her, like to have the conversation over and over again, and she didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, it's guilt.
So then I started to become bitter towards her. You know?
It's guilt. It's guilt. She felt really guilty when you shared it with her, and she just didn't know how to process it. She knew it happened.
You think so?
Yeah, she knew it happened. Yeah. Yeah, because she said, what do you want? She didn't say you're telling a lie. She said that she asked you, what do you want me to do now? You know,
now that's interesting. You see, you just taught me something.
Yeah, so she knows it's happened. She knows. that this happened to you. It's just that she feels really guilty. She feels bad about it. She feels bad. It's a kind of what's the term? I can't recollect the term right now, but she feels real bad. She probably doesn't want to talk about it.
She's transitioned now. You know, she since transitioned like 2 years ago. She passed like on the 24th of December. So 2 days ago was the anniversary of her passing. And I don't think that was a situation that was we never really cleared it up between us. But I made a decision to move on with my life because I didn't want that to hold me hostage anymore. I just really needed to know more about myself without that constant feeling of guilt attached to me with, you know, with all my relationships, you know?
I can tell you she believed you. So she has transitioned, but you can find peace in yourself now to know that you told her. She was aware. Right? So that should give you some closure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think being very open with my daughters, especially about, you know, what has taken place, just speaking to anyone about it, and not feeling guilty, not feeling ashamed anymore, has helped me a lot.
It wasn't your fault.
Huh?
I said it wasn't your fault.
Right.
And
well, I realized that, yeah.
And that's the first thing that the kids think. Just after this happened to them, they start thinking it's their fault. You know, they start thinking, oh, I was too friendly with this person. You know, it's my fault. Like, I shouldn't have been there. He called me. I shouldn't have gone in the room. You know, I shouldn't have been here. Like, it's my fault. So that's the first thing that, you know, anyone in the situation should first know, that it was never their fault. You didn't call it on you by wearing something that's too short in your household, or exposing your breast in your household, or, you know, just being comfortable in your household. Because I can tell you, majority, you know, they did a study. I don't know if I'm going off topic. I'm diverging too much.
But flow. Keep it going.
They did a study. I did some reading a few years ago, and they did a study that majority of women, or majority of people it was women who were raped. 98% of women who have experienced rape was raped by someone they know. 98%. That's a big number.
That is a big number.
Huge.
So just so you know, that majority of sexual abuse in children happens with people who they know. Just like that person in your household, Khadijah.
Yeah.
Right. It's the uncles, aunties, even dads, cousins, neighbors, the stepdaddies, stepmommies, brother, sister. It's those people. It's not the people who are far away. Because the first thing that the predator does, I think it's in this book, the first thing that the predator does is that they coach the child, you know. They coach a child. They allow the child to, they generate trust. So there's trust. They build trust, right? They build trust so that the child feels comfortable. Okay. And then a lot of times what they do is that they drive fear in the child next. Okay. So they make it seem like they're going to do you something. They're going to do something back to you if you talk.
Yes.
Right. So then you start feeling threatened. You're close to this person already. right? Even though you know it's wrong, you're threatened. You feel threatened that, okay, something is going to happen to me if I talk about this. And that is why I can safely say, based on my experiences, this happens with people who the child knows. No stranger molested me. No stranger did. So it's those, the ones who are closest to your children that you should be concerned about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, someone may snatch your child up at the park or snatch your child away from you at the grocery store. But when you talk about repetitive rape, repetitive abuse, repetitive molestation, it's done by people who the child is familiar with, the child is comfortable with. Because they don't want the child to scream. They don't want the child to make noise. So they start giving the child money. They start giving the child candy. They start poisoning the child's mind against people who the child trusts around them. They make it seem like, okay, Uncle Donald is a bad person. Auntie Susie is a bad person. So the abuser may do that to the child, right? They may start telling the child bad things about Uncle Donald and Auntie Susie, which will make the child gravitate more towards them, the abuser. It's just a reality.
Well, I think it's very prevalent in the Caribbean, and it's something that we don't speak about. It's happening to more people than we even realize.
Wow.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
And something that you said, that's very true. Usually the person who's carrying the family in terms of monetary support is the one that's usually doing it, and the women deal with it because of that. And I know that that was the case of my grandmother, and her husband. He used to drink a lot. Everybody knew he drank a lot, but they put up with whatever he did because he was the one who carried the weight in the family in terms of money and finances.
Wow.
But thank you.
Oh, Khadijah,
you're leaving so soon. I just want to say I take my hat off to you for showing your face.
Thank you.
Your story.
Yes, I really respect your program, Brother Lance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I listen practically every day,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to put a face with the name. And no matter
thank
what
you very much.
We still come out being beautiful as we are, inside and out.
Thank you.
And we need more people.
Because you and I are very close in age. So
yes. Wow.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, I was 60 in July, so
what?
Oh, you're beautiful. Nice.
So wait a second. So, that's why I saw Father Time walking down the street holding his jaw because you beat him up. Father Time the one who near you. Yeah, but that's your best days are ahead of you. I'm right behind you.
I know. I'm already experiencing it.
That's right. I can see it on your face. Bless you. Just so much.
Thank you.
Any
blessings, sister.
Let us
Peace
know.
And blessings.
We're here for you. Much love.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you so much.
Right, okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, there we go. Oh, slid right back into place. Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who wants to come on in and maybe share their story or make a comment? Sandra Hinton, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Hopefully we still have our time on Wednesday. If you want to say anything about the topic now, anybody, it's appreciated. Hit the link and come on in. See, we're getting off into a good flow. You see, it's always when somebody comes up and stands up and shares something that may not have been the best of circumstances or something that was very comfortable, that others will begin to feel empowered to say, I kind kind of went through that too. And
Right.
for the both of you to be here, there's somebody else out there who is listening. Even if they don't come on, they say, "Oh, I'm not the victim. I mean, or I'm not the reason why this happened." Because you know, there's a lot of that going on too, where the victim is blamed. And you mentioned it early, like you're in your house, you're in your home, and you should be able to be relaxed. But we know from what we're saying here and the facts that it's usually somebody in the inner circle who's very comfortable with you and being around you, where you drop your guard a little bit. But that should not come across your mind where, well, I'm home and I sat up on the couch and my legs were exposed, or, I bent down, my breasts were exposed. And that's a place that you're supposed to feel safe in. And it shouldn't be you have a predator sitting right up in there in a place that you're supposed to feel safe in. And when the violation happens, it takes that away right away. It shouldn't be that way. Even if the transgression happened not on the home front, but somewhere else close by, it still robs you of that feeling of being safe in your home, because that predator has access to the home as a friend or a distant relative, or actually a stepfather, father, brother, uncle, whatever. I've seen it. I dated somebody many years ago who the uncle was jealous of me because I was seeing his niece. And the uncle would always find himself at the bottom of the steps, so that when she walked up the steps with her dress on, he's trying to look, and so on and so on. And I saw these things with my own eyes. It's sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna add, you said it's sick. It's mental illness.
Yeah. And whole families.
Almost like a disease.
Whole families alter themselves to fit around that one, while they may not have seen the actual act, they know, because how the victim will start to act, and they see it plain as day. It's just like you have a classroom or a group of friends where two of the friends, now male and female, they start seeing each other kind of on the sly. You can tell the chemistry is different when you get around everybody. It's like you can pick up on that. But in this situation, this is not a mutual thing. You have a victim and you have a predator.
Right.
And who calls out?
And that's why I want parents to be more vigilant. So that's the whole purpose of writing the book. I want parents to be more vigilant of their children. And in the last little chapter, it speaks of some of the behavioral signs, some of the signs, the emotional signs that parents should look out for. I want to share those.
Right.
Is it okay for me to? Sure, I want to just read from the book.
Look, this is your show. You can talk about anything you want, as long as you want.
Okay. All right. So some behavioral signs that you should look for in your children: excessive talking about or knowledge of sexual topics. So if you realize that a child is just bringing up sexual topics, or if they get very excited, or sometimes they do get shy when if they see any kind of sexually related, for example, they're watching a little comedy and they see a couple kiss, or they see people hugging. Kids are smart. If they get overly hyped about it, or if they get too reserved about it, then you need to start paying closer attention. Not saying that it's happening, but you just need to pay closer attention. If they're keeping secrets and they're not talking as much as they were talking before, so that's one sign that something is going on with the child. This child was talkative, and all of a sudden the child starts becoming reserved. Not saying that it is sexual abuse. It can be some other issues, but yeah, you need to tap in. Not wanting to be left alone with certain people, or being afraid to go away from the primary caregiver, especially if this is a new behavior. So this child used to go to grandma's house every holiday, every summertime, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas. You take this child, you know, you've been taking this child to this house maybe for 2 or 3 years or longer or shorter. And one day the child just says, I don't want to go to grandma's this summer. I don't want to go to auntie. I don't want to go to uncle. I don't want to go there this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Do not just say, no, you're going, because
Right.
you want to get a break from your child, because a lot of times parents feel like they need a break from their children, right? So they'll send them away. They'll send them to the family or the close friends. Now, if you see that your child does not want to go here when this is where they have been going repeatedly in the past, and all of a sudden it's a new behavior, I don't want to go here anymore, you need to do some investigation. Okay? Regressive behavior such as bedwetting or thumb sucking. Your child never a day in his life sucked his thumb, or your child was never a bedwetter. Okay? Child never wet the bed. All of a sudden, you start seeing your child is in the corner. You know, he's walking outside. He's going to sleep. He's sucking his thumb. You need to watch out, right? You need to pry into what could be happening. You know, be more vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual behavior that is inappropriate for the child's age. Right? No child should be displaying any kind of sexual behavior. So the child may want to start touching on another child, whether it's another family member or a friend. They may want to start showing their private parts. You know, they may, start touching people, even adults, in places that they're not supposed to touch them. You need to start asking questions, right? So for parents who wash their kids' clothing, I'm not saying to observe their undergarments every time you wash it, but every now and then, just take a look.
Yes.
Just take a look, because I can tell you, lots of children who experience sexual abuse, including rape. Well, some children, I'm not going to say lots, some children. Are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Some children.
No, I just adjusted the microphone. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Some children contract STIs. So you have to look out. I'm going to get very graphic here. You have to look out for the kind of discharge and the amount of discharge that you see in there. Now, it's natural and normal for a woman to have a discharge, right? But anything that as a woman, you know what it's supposed to look like. Anything that looks anything outside of what it's supposed to look like, you need to immediately take the child to a doctor for an examination. Okay. Some children, especially the little kids, when sometimes you bathe them, you take them to the bathroom, you're about to wash their private parts, and they're like, oh, don't think that it's just a little rash, because the child may have sweat in that area and, it just cause some kind of rash, or, and just leave it unattended. Take the child to the doctor, right? Because it could mean the child may not even have any bruising. It could just mean that the child is so uncomfortable with you, washing down there. If the child is of age where you give the child a rag to wash the private part, and the child, you have to just observe, because you know what's normal and what's not.
That's right.
Right? Now, some emotional signs: your child used to eat a lot, the child stopped eating. Your child never used to eat a lot, and then all of a sudden one day you get up, the child is just eating away. Not saying that the child is being sexually molested or abused, but you need to dig deeper. change in mood or personality. So the child may become very aggressive or may become reserved. Watch out for a child, especially if the child becomes so aggressive, man. Oftentimes, you know, being a counselor, I can tell you that a child who is very aggressive is feeling some kind of pain inside. Okay? The child has a decrease in confidence about himself. You know, the child used to want to take showers a lot. He used to change his clothes a lot. You know, he used to want to be clean, but now he doesn't want to shower anymore. Or, or it's just hassle to just jump in the shower. He doesn't want to change his clothes. He doesn't want to look good anymore. You know, he's not asking, oh, can I get that new shoes, when he used to ask for shoes? Or can I get that shirt? You know, can I get that game? You need to pry into the child's life. If the child starts having lots of headache and stomachache, that's a sign. That's a definite sign that something is going on with the child. Headache and stomachache. I had a lot of headaches. Like I am a living proof of that. Throughout high school, I had headaches. Wow. All the times. I had headaches. I never got the flu or anything like that. Like I wasn't like a sickly child.
Right.
But I used to get headaches. Yeah. And I think it's from all of the emotional trauma that I had experienced. Okay. The child starts losing interest in activities and his friends. That's one thing that you have to be observant. Child having nightmares, child fears being left alone at night, especially if the child used to sleep alone. The child always wants mommy or daddy to sleep with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a sign. And self-harming behaviors, that's the last one. I've seen where kids have attempted to cut their wrists. They just do crazy stuff.
Yeah. So
yeah, you need to be vigilant as a parent of your child. Behavior, physical appearance. You have to watch out. You have to watch out for behavior and physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't implore it more that parents should have conversations with their children about good and bad touch. Anything that makes them feel uncomfortable is a bad touch. As parents, you have to remind your children that their body belongs to them and nobody else. No one has the right to touch them without permission. Well, a child can't give permission for certain kinds of touch, but you understand what I'm talking about, mm-hmm. right? If the child doesn't want you to hold his hands, like the child has the right to say, I don't want you to hold my hand.
That's right.
Because it's their body. Well, unless they're crossing the streets or, they're in danger.
Yeah.
But you have to teach your children good and bad touch, right? You have to help your children to identify behaviors that may make them feel uncomfortable. You have to talk to your children about these things. I know it can be uncomfortable, but as a parent, it's your role to talk with them. Mm-hmm. Now my son is 12, and I can tell you that I've been talking to my child about his, since I used to bathe him. I talked to him about his private parts. I used to lecture my child all the times, and sometimes I used to have him talk back. I used to have conversations. How does that make you feel? And I let him know that, listen, if anyone touches you anywhere on your body, it could be your head, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I told him that I'm the only person who is supposed to kiss him on his cheek. And if that makes him feel uncomfortable, you should let me know.
There are many ways that that predator will try to take liberties with a child.
Mm-hmm.
And since you drew the lines so sharp and
Yeah.
made your child aware, there should be no doubt that they can be played or groomed into
Yeah.
that so-called perfect victim who will not speak out.
Yeah.
And the knowledge is the key. And being made to feel comfortable, you are the perfect mother for that. And they should, who are listening, should follow through. Those conversations should start at home long before they venture out into the world as they get older.
Yeah,
You see,
you're right.
foundation has to be set because those snakes are out there and they're out in the
I-
yard, and you can't send your children out in the yard to play amongst snakes and they not know.
Snakes. Right.
That's
I can tell you my very first experience of being, my very first time experiencing sexual abuse. I was I was uncomfortable, but I wasn't sure what it was. Like, it's like, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to happen or not. I remember I was about 7, and one of my family members had a boyfriend who came from another city. And, you know, in Jamaica, we had Grand Market. Was like, no, it wasn't Grand Market. It was the day after was Christmas Day. In the night, so we had Grand Market, and then the day after we had a show. They always had this show in the park, and everyone would come out their homes and just gather in the park, like in the center of a town that I grew up in. And I remember my aunt's boyfriend, one of her boyfriend, came just to spend time with her at that time, and she allowed him to take us, I think it was 3 of us, to the park to watch the show, you know, because it was a kid-friendly thing.
Right.
And this man lifted me and he put me over his neck while I was on his neck, because I was a little girl, you know, I couldn't see. It was a show, I couldn't see. So he put me on his neck, and you know, while I was on his neck, he moved my panty and he touched my vagina, touched me, my pubic area, while I was on his neck, right out there in the park, in the middle of a big crowd.
Right. Understood.
But I didn't know.
Right. You didn't know. That's not your fault.
Exactly. I didn't know. So I'm just saying, had I known, had my parents talked to me about it, you know, from a tender age, from a young age, it wasn't spoken about. Right. Had they spoken about it, I would have been able to say, so-and-so, you know, this happened, you know, he did this, and I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel comfortable. Is he supposed to do that? You know? So that was my very first experience.
Wow.
So then I knew I had to have done that with my son.
Yeah.
Since before he could talk, you know, I was helping him to identify his body parts and stuff like that. You have to talk to your children about sexuality. You have to. It's your responsibility.
Your question, the fact that you gave him this schooling and knowledge, and you equipped him to deal with as much as he could, but to identify it, you know?
Yeah.
Did he ever have any attempts, no matter how mild it may have been, that were questionable from others that looked to go along those lines?
No.
He didn't have any attempted experiences?
No, not to my knowledge. And his behaviors, like, I do study him, so I know him. I know his, you know, his behaviors.
Right.
You know, as we transition through life, I can identify, like, the changes in his behaviors, you know, because I know where he's been, you know. Right. So no, I've never had any questions or nothing. There's no spark, nothing that calls for a spark.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Plus, him being aware, probably that alone, the way he would hold himself, or if anybody, these people who do this, long before they do it, they're like that bird swooping around and
Mm-hmm.
observing
The
and
predator.
observing. Yeah, yeah. And they look at the circumstances. They look at who else is in your life. They're swooping. And when they decide,
Mhm.
okay, I can do this, they swoop down and they move confidently. That's the thing, because you got to be bold to do something like that. And what is it about a predator that they can't help themselves? We know that it can't just be sex. As much as we have adults who are giving it away wholesale.
So let me share this with you, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Some predators, they have been molested themselves.
Understood.
Some predators have been molested themselves.
Understood.
It's just like, it's almost like domestic violence. You know, a child was raised in that household, in a household where there's domestic violence. It's highly likely that this child is either they're going to become an abuser, or they're going to learn from it and they say, I'll never lay hands on my woman.
Right. That's right.
But I can tell you that a big number of children who they were raised in an environment where there's domestic violence, that they end up becoming abusers. Majority of abusers were raised in that kind of environment.
Yes. Generational thing that just passes on and passes on until you decide to stop it and identify it and stop it. But the way things are going now, it just seems like so many people are into the whole denial and they let it go on. But they do know deep down inside, you know your family, you know your children, you know when things are going on. You can pick up on it.
And you know, just to retract a little bit, we did talk about, we had touched on adults who are still having these experiences, who are still having, you know, the trauma from these experiences.
Right.
Now, if they really want to help their children, they have to first heal. They have to heal themselves first for their children. Otherwise, the cycle will continue.
Understood.
Yeah, so if they want to kind of take it away from themselves and say, okay, I'm doing this for my child, then that may be a better way for them to look at it. Okay, I'm doing this for my child or my children. You know, I have to fix myself so that my children or child can be better, or won't have to experience this. Or if the child is experiencing, you can nip it in the bud, you can do something about it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, life can be a thing where the challenges of paying the bills, working multiple jobs, the healing that our own parents need or parents need, things they're in denial about, that can make it so difficult. So we're not coming down too hard on everybody, but you have to make the effort and understand that these things are always there. That bird that's swooping over you is looking at everybody. They're going to take the easiest mark in their mind. And they do so because lots of times when they get caught, it wasn't like, oh, this is the first time I did it. They've been doing it. When I used to work in jail there in Orlando, Florida, they had molesters that there was one who was like really close to 90 years old. And his charges went back from when he was in his early 20s. This guy was doing this for almost 70 years. Charge here, a charge there. And you could see on his face that even if you didn't know that's what he was, his face was so gnarled. The expression on his face was so twisted. There'd be no way I would trust him. I wouldn't trust him myself around me for anything.
Was that a Caucasian man?
Yes, it was.
I think I know that story. I've seen the video.
Yeah.
On every single count, he was found guilty, and he admit every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kept on doing it again and again. But to see him in person and to just be near him while he sat in the cell, you could see it coming off of him. If you didn't know him, you're like, this guy is dangerous somehow. This guy is not right. Go ahead.
Can I leave for a minute?
Oh, sure. You know, I'll just push the button and I'll run my mouth until you come back.
and then after that I have to leave in like
Yes.
on
Sure.
the half hour. It's 2:30 at
Yeah,
2:30.
whatever time is good for you. Because you know I'm always
Okay.
here. You can always come back to the show. But do your
I know.
thing here.
Yeah, give me a
Okay.
sec. Give me a sec.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Yeah. Hold it, everybody. I'm gonna say something to Mrs. Scurv here. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to coax somebody to come onto the show too. You know what I mean? Not be so shy. So yeah, I'm always going to have shows like this because this is something that is never ending. This is something that is always continuous. And it's almost, if we're in denial about it, it's almost like saying, well, it's raining outside, but I kept the front part of my property okay, so it's not raining anymore. When it rains all over. Like I said, this is not a thing of color. It's not a thing of your status. It's not a thing of, whether you're rich or poor, Catholic, Muslim, atheist, whatever you may be, this can affect you. And if you drop your guard and you think that it can't, it will. This has been going on long before social media. It's been going on long before the modern amenities are here. Those things haven't taken the mind of the predator away. To me, it's made it even worse. Also, I'll throw a few things in until she returns, that you have to be very careful with social media because, yeah, we can see you. You have to be very careful. And I'm going to slide on over here. And oh, you're back. So listen. They don't see you as much as they see me. So I'm going to take these.
No.
And as she's only has to go. And you need to take this chair that I'm in and sit up in it. Here we go. Slide on, talking to the mic. We good. Right ahead.
I wanted to make sure I said bye to you before you leave my niece.
Hey, Auntie.
And say hello to the brothers and sisters in the chat. How are you all doing today? So how is everything, my niece?
Well, it's been a good chat. It's been a great chat. We were able to go over some stuff. We had a sister join us. Were you watching?
Yeah, I was watching. I was listening.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you've seen all that went on.
Yes.
Sister Khadijah.
Yes.
Yeah. She was.
She came in and said that she would like to, come in. So yeah. That was
but
good.
But things are good. I'm thankful. Getting married soon.
And the family.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. It's always good to see you. The last time we catch up was in Houston in August last year.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I know. That was really beautiful. We had a good time. Everything.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
I know it was.
There, yeah.
Hopefully they will, things will change closer to the summertime so that you can be here.
I know. I want to be there. I have to be there at the wedding.
I know. Yes, you're welcome.
Yes.
That's gonna probably be for another show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, but today we touch on a topic that's it's almost like it's taboo. No one talks about it, but then it's so prevalent in our society.
Right.
So given that I have healed, I just want to inspire. I don't know if inspire is the word, but to inspire people who have gone through. I have like 4 more minutes. I want to inspire people who have gone through this, similar experience or experiences, to not be afraid, to not feel like it's their fault. They didn't do anything that was bad. To let them know that it's okay, even if they're 40 or 50 and they never talk about it, to start talking about it.
That's
Because
true.
through speaking, they will heal. And they'll start feeling better about themselves. They'll start having better relationships, better relationships with their children and their partners. They'll have better relationship with their families and friends. So I do implore anyone who is watching, who has gone through this experience, or who is not healed, or who's never spoken about it, to just start talking about it. If you have a best friend, you can start sharing with that best friend. But I always encourage people in these situations not to say something first to someone in their family, especially someone who is close to the abuser,
Yes, I agree.
or someone who is familiar with the abuser. They should never first tell that person.
Yes.
They must always wait until they have overcome. Then they mention it. Because believe me, those people, they will tell you things, they might tell you things that will cause you to be even more scarred and scared.
Because a lot of times they'll say, you know, they want to say like it's not true, and you are so
Right.
right about that, because you have to be so careful, and that's why a lot of children are even scared. Like growing up in Jamaica, a lot of children
Mm-hmm.
are scared to tell their family anything because they run them away and say they're lying, and
They're
all
telling a
those.
lie, yeah.
So
So
it's really hard, and
families,
not only in Jamaica, because it's other places people will do it, even in the US or other places, like, even in Africa here in the motherland,
right.
a lot of children go through these things and no one will ever know about it unless when
Mm-hmm.
this person grow up and then maybe go away or whatever, or find someone to talk to about it,
Right.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
always not easy. It's a hard thing to deal with. I remember we had a show like this in Houston when we were there. We were talking about, underlying the same thing,
Yeah.
but a lot of us go through and never talk about it until after, you find someone to talk to about it, and to let people know that it's no reason to keep it a secret. You have to find someone to talk to about it. So it's great. I'm so happy that you come on the show and to talk about all this stuff and your book. Congratulations on the
Oh,
book. And I
thank
know
you.
you
Oh,
Amazon, right?
yes, it's on Amazon. You just type "They Darken My World" with my name, Tsunga O, and it will pop up. It's available. Um, it's available in. Oh my God! It's available on Kindle, and also the
Okay.
paperback copy.
Oh, okay.
So if you're an e-reader, you can download it. I think it's $5.99 for the ebook and $12.99 for the hard copy version. And it's a very quick read. You probably can finish reading this book in 45 minutes. Like if you're a fast reader, it's a very quick read, but it's potent.
Wow. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And then if you buy the book and you want to pass it on to someone else too, like your children or whoever, you can
No,
always.
no, not the children.
No, but
Well,
some
when
of the
when
children,
when they get older,
yeah, but some people have children that is in 8,
like in
17,
the teens.
19,
Oh yes,
and
yeah, like in the teens.
yes, that you need to
Yeah, they
talk
can.
about. Yes, because you have to let them know what's going on,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
we wanna let them know, but like we also have to be mindful of how we approach. We have to be mindful of how we approach like sharing this kind, because it's a super sensitive topic, especially with children. But like you've said, if they're 18, like they're in their later teens, 19, 16, 17, 18, where they're able to handle maybe the emotional stuff that may come with this. Because the thing is, you might share this with a child who has gone through this similar kind of experience, and being a child not being able to deal with it, it may evoke self-destructive behavior. You get what I'm saying? Because a part of it is really, really graphic, and it may take that child right back through that trauma. So that's why, like as a parent, you have to do your part. Even if you're going to share the book with them, read it with them.
Right.
You're
right.
Yeah, we just have to be mindful of how we communicate this kind of information to the kids.
And that's why we have to have good communication with our children, so these things don't happen to them.
Right. Exactly. Yes, Auntie, you're right.
Yeah. What is so? I know you have to wrap it down because I know you say you have to go. And
yes.
Such a pleasure having you on here and seeing you.
Yeah, likewise. It's a blessing, and I just want to. Before I go, I just want to thank you and Lance for this opportunity. It's my passion. It's my passion. Probably not a good passion, but it's my passion just being a survivor to talk about it, and if I can influence one person, then I've done my job.
Yes.
Right. So it's not something that I wouldn't say that I enjoy. It's not fun to talk about, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something good.
To help someone, because you are telling your story, what happened to you, can really help someone else and help them heal from this, because they will seek help, find help wherever, and try to heal from it. So this is great that you're putting this out there and you put the book out there, and trust me, this is really gonna help so many people. And I just give thanks for you, and I'm grateful for you. I love you, and
I love you too.
Always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
By the way, that's my real baby picture on the book cover.
I know.
That's my baby picture.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everyone who is watching. I appreciate y'all. My email is there. If you have any questions, you can, or if you want to connect, feel free to reach out to me. I would think that I'm pleasant.
Yes. You are fun. We just give thanks for all the sisters and the brothers, and we just ask that you share this video out, because there's so many brothers and sisters out there need to see this, need to watch and know what's really going on, and know that there's help for them, because sometimes a lot of our brothers and sisters out there don't know where to turn to and don't have anyone to turn to. And it's so nice that, you can be here tonight and let them know that. So we give thanks for that.
And I give thanks too. I'm very thankful to be of service.
Yes. It's so nice.
All right.
So nice.
So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna go now.
Yes.
I love you all.
Love you too, and love the brothers and sisters in the chat who listen.
Yes, I said that. Yeah.
And
peace and love to you all.
Full joy unite, and full joy of the family. Give my love to the family, and take care of yourself, stay safe, and we'll catch up later.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah.